ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the War Room. I am Brian of Chamber of the Wraith, and today we are going to be looking at two vicious hunters. And also, the last DC character, hopefully for a little while, because quite frankly, I'm doing too many of these motherfuckers. Anyway, oddly enough, they're also... Are they all members of the Bat family? We got Nightwing, and then we got this guy, who's Red Hood. I can't remember who the first one was. Shit. Anyways, 2/3 of them were no, it was Deathstroke. That's who it was. Derp. But yeah, 2/3 of them were members of the Bat family too, so it's like, maybe I should just stop the Bat family members. But in all seriousness, today we're going to be looking at some pretty scary people. We've got Jason Todd, aka the Red Hood, versus Dark, the Predator Hunter, in Alien vs. Predator 2010. Let's suit up. Well, not suit up. Let's dive right in, that's what I'm looking for, and have a look and see just what these guys are capable of. Now I'm just going to say this super duper fast. Right off the bat, I need to say I had a bitch of a time to try and source Red Hood, because the respect thread that I tried to use did not have the issue in particular that I was trying to find. Fortunately, as if on cue, I got Batman Under the Red Hood, probably one of the best DC animated movies of all time. And this movie is actually based off of a comic book saga type thing of the same name, just compressed to 75 minutes. So that is actually going to be the primary source that I'm going to use, because it was kind of Red Hood's debut issue, and everybody knows Batman Under the Red Hood, so this is actually a really good spot to compare Red Hood to Dark. And so, who's Red Hood? Red Hood, formerly the second Robin Jason Todd, was kidnapped by the Joker, beaten half to death with a crowbar, and then left in a building that was going to explode. Batman was not able to get there in time, and Jason Todd died. Okay? Then, while everything was going on and going through, and the whole proceedings and everything, Ra's al Ghul, who had kind of masterminded this plan to use the Joker as a distraction while everything was going on, felt that he kind of felt bad that he took something of Batman's, because he actually respects the guy, even though they're kind of up and against each other. I'm removing this because of the glare and the glasses. Got to be super distracting. Anywho, so Ra's takes Jason's body, replacing it with a dummy duplicate, into the Lazarus pit, which is what keeps Ra's al Ghul on his feet, and that's why it kept him going for almost 600 years. And at this point, he had heard that it could even bring somebody back from the dead, so he tried it with Jason Todd. Now, the thing is, this is kind of one of the first major divergences that I can note from this. Mainly because in the comic book, Jason kind of comes out of the relatively okay, but Talia actually throws him back into the pit for a second dousing, which makes him go loopy-loopy. But in the movie, it's just one dunk that drives Jason Todd fucking batshit crazy. So, take that as you will, it's just one difference. Basic point, Lazarus Pit drove Jason up the fucking wall. So, 5 years later, Batman is noticing, or Nightwing is kind of noticing a bunch of weird moves going on in the Gotham criminal elements. People kicking up to some random new guy. People ending up dead. And Batman was tailing these three guys who were stealing cargo. The cargo being a Meso. But that with Nightwing, he takes them down, and then he tries to interrogate the thugs, only for a sniper to take out all three of them in 3 shots. This is an example of Red Hood's accuracy. It looked like he was like across the bay, and pow, pow, pow! Ruthless efficiency at that range with a sniper rifle. Shows his marksmanship. And then, as these clashes began, it became very apparent that this guy seems to know a little more about Batman than your average hoodlum. He even employs tactics that Batman uses just to a lethal degree. Even at one point tasering one of the members of the fearsome Hand of Four in the face, causing his head to explode. Jeez! And it all really culminates with him trying to kill the Joker, or at the very least get Batman to do it, to show that, you know, hey, you're either gonna kill him or you gotta kill me. You gotta decide. And of course, Batman wins, except in the movie, the building blows up and Jason Todd is seemingly killed. But, as we all know, from the comics, Red Hood is still alive and still running around and doing shit. And there's a lot of feats that he has done later on that would be super cool to cover. Like the fact that he managed to snap the neck of a Talon like this. But the thing is that I don't have the issues on hand in order to do so. And I'll be completely honest, I kind of neglected to kind of go, hey, what issue did this guy do in it? Which is bad research on my part, and I apologize. But it was like, oh, god damn it. So, you know, that kind of makes things super interesting in that I'm really just basing it off of his origin. It's just the origin of Red Hood. So what does Red Hood all in all pack? What's he bring into this fight? Well, not only does he have Batman's tactics and planning and such, the planning isn't really going to be a factor in this fight until they step into the war room. Okay. But Jason Todd is going to be packing revolvers. Why did I do that? I don't have guns holstered. Oh, maybe I'm just acting it out. He'll have a knife sharp enough to cut one of Batman's cables, which is seemingly strong enough to prevent that most knives can't cut through it, which would make sense. Probably some sort of hyper-tensile aircraft cable or something along those lines. He also on more than one occasion brings a taser, so I'm going to let him have that as well. But he's also going to be packing some ninja stars, some shuriken. But that'll basically be it. He'll be relying on that, and he'll be relying on his pistoles, his taser, his shurikens, his knife, and his fighting skill that he has. And remember, he kills people. Batman doesn't do that, so he doesn't have that restriction about shanking his opponent in the face, which is super helpful in this fight because his quarry is going to accept nothing less than somebody is going to die, which is exactly up Red Hood's alley. And his opponent is Dark. And we're going to talk a little bit more about him than with Jason Todd because Dark is Yautja. He is a member of the Predator race. And those motherfuckers are crazy. Alright, so for those of you who have not seen any of the Predator movies or have read any of the Predator comics by Dark Horse or anything, somehow completely avoided the Predator franchise, which that's impressive that you've been able to do that. The Predator race, also known as the Yautja, Y-A-U-T-J-A, very strange spelling, but it's suitably alien, are a race of alien hunters that go around the galaxy hunting the most dangerous game. They have an honor code system, and they're very long-lived, powerful, and strong. And while their society is generally tribal, and their technology seems relatively limited, their major advancements are in anything that pertains to the hunt and to their ship technology. Other than that, it seems that they really just kind of stick to the tribal thing, which is probably for the best. But Predators are strictly bound by honor. Now, of course, there's always exceptions to this whole thing, but in general, Predators will only really kill worthy targets. They do not kill pregnant women or children or anybody who is seen as infirm. So an old man would not be a target unless that old man tried to kill the Predator, in which case the Predator usually has a pretty decent chance of just going, I'm just gonna whoosh and get you out of my way. Because Predators are strong. They're able to manhandle people. The jungle hunter in the first Predator movie actually lifted Arnold Schwarzenegger off the ground, Dutch is the name of his character, with one hand and absolutely beat the piss out of this guy. And have you seen him in that movie? He is so jacked. Stick around. But Anywho, but predators in particular have their own different personalities and feats. So that's why I wanted to focus not on just the predator, because even in the first 2 movies, there were 2 distinct predators. The jungle hunter, which died at the end because he went kablooey, and the city hunter, who hunted through Los Angeles during a heat wave in the 1990s. And from there, what happened is that this spawned a huge thing, and we're going to focus on Dark. That's the name of the Predator protagonist in the Predator story of 2010's Aliens vs. Predator, released by Sega and created by Rebellion Studios. Now, Dark was a youngblood. He was basically just getting his stripes, basically, by killing a shit ton of aliens. That's your sort of tutorial mode, is kill a shit ton of aliens, and you get your shit, and then you get on a mission to try and hunt down other youngbloods who were on their inaugural hunts and mysteriously went missing. And then, once they arrive on the planet where the main conflict takes place and where all the stories kind of intertwine, both the Marine, the Alien, and the Predator campaign, he finds that something has killed these guys, obviously, and he's not quite sure what. And then he finds evidence of a predalien, an abomination, as it were. Now, a predalien is what happens when an alien facehugger takes down a predator and then impregnates it. And because of how aliens, or how xenomorphs kind of just take the genetic traits of their host and then are born with some of their traits, you get this predalien. So a human-bred xenomorph is scary enough. This thing is like as big as an Allosaurus and twice as strong as a predator. Plus, it's absolutely ferocious and ruthless. This thing is seen as an abomination that must be destroyed at all costs. And the whole story kind of gets going when a predator pyramid was breached, and everything just kind of goes from there. So once Dark kind of finds out what the fuck is going on, and the fact that Weyland Yutani stole a predator wrist bracelet, that's a no-no. He fights his way through these guys. Sorry, extremely running nose today. And then destroys the wrist bracelet, and then he gains access to a pretty sweet mask from one of the first predators to kill an alien, to kill a xenomorph, which are known by the predator race as the Serpents. And that allows him to actually see aliens, because aliens do not show up on thermal vision, which is very interesting, by the way. I might have to make a theory video on why that's the case. But that said, eventually he gets down into the pyramid and sets a self-destruct sequence. And then goes into the basement of the pyramid to fight and then kill the predalien by himself. Dark is doing all of this on his own. He slaughtered over like 3 or 4 dozen. He slaughtered dozens of Marines and machines and xenomorphs. He kills a predalien by himself, detonates the pyramid so that nobody knows about the whole predator thing, and then he kind of goes back up into his ship, and everybody's like, "Yeah, you're the best," and he's like, "I fucking know it." So Dark, being a predator, is just chock full of predator-based weapons. He has the classic cloak, which allows him to turn largely invisible and stalk his prey. He also has the native predator abilities of super strength, being strong enough to manhandle a person with incredible ease, launch great distances with his jumps, like I'm saying, like maybe even 30 feet. Whoa! And he's somewhere. A fairly notable healing factor, which allows him to heal some damage from bullet wounds and even some acid damage, but it isn't like Wolverine level. He can die relatively easily in comparison, although he does have health packs and such. Excuse me. So, alongside all of that, he has the classic Predator Plasma Caster, some Predator Mines. He also has a couple of smart discs, which they're basically advanced controllable chakras that just mow down anything. that get in their way. And he also has... He also has the Combi Spear, a retrievable, extendable Predator Spear, which is strong enough to decapitate opponents in one throw. It's some serious hardware. Now, but here's the thing. We're also going to be kind of limiting it, similar to how the game limits some of these tools. The Plasma Caster and the Mines are on off of an energy source. So, we're going to give Predator Dark enough energy to fire either six fully charged shots, which would be probably about 12 normal shots from the shoulder cannon, or plant 3 mines, and any combination of that thereof. And he will not be able to regenerate energy in this particular fight. I will also limit him to 2 smart discs that do not have the forcible return feature that some smart discs have. Some of these smart discs, if they get embedded in something, they can go into a crazy berserk mode where the blades just go slicing through whatever they need and then flying right back into the hands of the Predator that use it. His smart discs are not going to be able to do that. Once they're embedded, they're stuck and they're lost. And I'm going to give him just the single Combi Spear that he'll have to go and retrieve every time he wants to use this. I'm also going to give him 1 use of his stim packs so that he can immediately be back to full strength and ready to go. So, with those limitations and everything ready to rock, who do I think is going to win? At least at the highest probability. Well, if you guys know me, this is going to be a particularly tough discussion. Alright, so obviously we are going to need a good spot for these two to fight. Somewhere that Dark probably wouldn't know and Red Hood doesn't exactly have the biggest advantage over. So we're actually going to set this up in part of the colony level in Alien vs. Predator 2010, where there's a little bit of jungle on the outside, but everything's going to be kind of mainly be focused in a colony, in the main colony structure. So what's going to happen here is that they're going to kill each other. Bar none, these two are going to try and kill each other. So, all of that taken into account, everything ready to go, Jason Todd ready to rumble, who wins? Well, in my personal opinion, it's going to be Dark. And Dark probably has between a 65 and 75% chance of taking this fight. Why? Well, Red Hood relies quite a bit on his gadgets. While he is very good at dodging shots and everything, and he really only up until he runs into Batman, he only ever really gets into trouble with the fearsome hand of 4. He only ever gets hit once, and he's obviously swift and nimble enough to keep on his toes. And if he hears, he dodges. But he has to contend with the Predator's strength, which is one thing that Jason kind of has trouble with. If opponents are clearly superior to him in one form or another, they can kind of manhandle him in some respect, because he's kind of focused on rage. While he is a tactical thinker, he's not quite on the level of Batman. And what happens when he runs out of bullets? He's stuck with having to try and stab the Predator, which means getting in close, which is something that you do not want. Because, and I can't believe I somehow forgot this, Dark has not 1, but 2 wrist blades. He's, as far as I know, the only Predator that has, Predator that is named, that has double wrist blades. Like, how did I forget that? I feel so dumb. So, Jason has to get in and go hand-to-hand combat with somebody that's not only stronger than him, but is equipped with 2 gauntlets that can shank a fool. And you've seen these wrist blades. They're strong enough to impale and lift a man and help, and even help Dark get some of his trophy kills, which are absolutely brutal. So Red Hood actually kind of has a relatively decent chance of dealing with Dark, but keep in mind, Dark still has a higher chance of winning. It isn't even necessarily as extreme as Taskmaster versus Deathstroke because I gave it a 65 to 75% chance. So it's somewhere in the middle of how stacked against the deck Jason is between Taskmaster versus Deathstroke and Nightwing versus Sonya Blade. That's just my opinion anyway. Thanks for tuning into this video. If you have any comments or any ways that you think Red Hood could kind of tip the scales, or, oh, this is big, if you happen to find good respect threads for characters that have, like the one that I used for Nightwing actually has like, let's say, uses pool balls against skinheads in this issue, that would be fantastic, because if you find those, I will definitely use that character in future videos. So I hope you enjoy, and as always, DFTBA. One thing though, this next fight is going to be doing something kind of interesting. It's going to feature an anime combatant, and I am about as well versed in anime as I am in speaking Russian. Multi-dual comrade. So, bear with me, it might take a little while for me to kind of get the research going and then actually work on this damn thing, but your combatants will be announced now.